Hello everyone. This is a video just in front of the camera, not out of the class, because prelims is very near. So I thought that I should make a video for a topic which is very important from prelims perspective, and thereafter also for mains. So I thought many of the topics, but then I found doctrine of basic structure is something which is connecting many other topic in it, and so that's how we have. Now, without wasting any time further, what we can do that we can start talking about doctrine of basic structure. Basically, when I have covered the fundamental right in the polity class, I told about Article 12, I told about Article 13, right? And I also told about Article 368. But when the evolution of doctrine of basic structure and the birth of it, we need to talk, we have to talk separately. I'll be giving you the kind of timeline of the cases from the judiciary side, that how this doctrine of basic structure was laid upon, how the building blocks were put, and then I will be telling you some other related things. To begin with, doctrine of basic structure is related to the fundamental rights, and fundamental rights are, in comparison to the legal rights, sometimes different. And when we talk about, say for example, right, the legal right and fundamental right can be compared, and these can be compared in the sense that the legal rights are available in entire Indian Constitution except part 3, whereas fundamental rights are available in part 3 of Indian Constitution from Article 12 to 35. When we talk about legal right, the legal rights may not be under the national emergency scenario from Article 352 to even Article 360, that the President proclamation is required to suspend one or more fundamental right. The legal rights can be suspended ordinarily. Say for example, the curfew has to be imposed. The traffic jam is there and we have to stop one side traffic so that one side traffic is passing. One VIP movement is there and we have stopped the person. So freedom of movement has been restricted temporarily, but it is a legal right for that sense and for that time at least. But when it comes to the fundamental right, except Article 20 and Article 21, all other fundamental rights can be suspended using Article 358 and Article 359. When I will be discussing national emergency, that under the war or external aggression or on the armed rebellion ground, we have to restrict the fundamental right, how we are using Article 358 and 359 separately or in combination. Now, the third difference between legal right and fundamental right is that if a legal right is to be amended or a new legal right is to be given birth, then ordinary legislation with ordinary majority, you can say simple majority, is required. And simple majority, you know, half of present and voting. Whereas if we talk about fundamental right, if you have to repeal a fundamental right, if you have to amend a fundamental right, if you need to partly amend fundamental right, if you need to bring a new fundamental right altogether, you have to have a Constitutional Amendment Act under Article 368. And for this, a special majority is required, and you know that a special majority is 2/3 present and voting, which should be more than or equal to half of total strength of that house, which is relatively tough. in comparison to the simple majority. Now, if the ordinary legislation is there as per the court decision, I am using this word here only in this sense that a law is made. But for a new fundamental right or to amend the fundamental right, you have to have the act. Now, here comes the difference between law and act. To make it clear, the doctrine of basic structure, I need to tell you the difference between law and act. What is the difference? And it is for doctrine of basic structure only, otherwise difference between law and act is quite bigger, right? Now, there was a case called as Shankerprasad case, 1951. In this, the judiciary, the court held that the parliament is having two types of power, namely constituent legislative power. In short, I am writing it as CLP, and something called as ordinary legislative power, OLP. So I repeat, in Shankerprasad case in 1951, judiciary held that parliament, P for parliament, is having two types of power, CLP and OLP. CLP means constituent legislative power and OLP means ordinary legislative power. Now, using CLP, Parliament can make an act under Article 368 to amend one or more fundamental right or to amend any part of the Constitution. Right? But Parliament using OLP can make only law to give effect to the legal rights or to the day-to-day functioning of the country, but it cannot change or amend the fundamental right or the constitutional provisions. So to change the constitution, you have to have something called as act made under Article 368, which is a kind of JCB machine, but it is a kind of a small implement to just dig a small hole and all like that. So I think up till this point it is clear. Now, we are following the judicial cases to understanding the doctrine of basic structure. Now, whatever the judiciary has held has to be abide by other court too. If Supreme Court has decided upon something, means the High Court, the other lower courts will be using that decision. Even Supreme Court will be using that decision in the future to solve the similar cases. Now, from Shankerprasad case to Sajjan Singh case, (1965), judiciary held the same thing and judiciary kept same line and length for the decisions of Shankerprasad case, means OLP and CLP are enjoyed by Parliament to make the act and law, and Parliament has power to amend the fundamental right as well as the constitutional provision. But what happened after Sajjan Singh case, there came something called as Golaknath case. In this case, Supreme Court held that Parliament is enjoying only what is called as ordinary legislative power and it is not available with what is called as constituent legislative power. It is not available with the parliament. Now, what is to be done? Nothing can be done because already court has decided. But whatever was decided in Shankerprasad case and followed till Sajjan Singh case has been revised, because Supreme Court is a court of revision also, because there is no higher court higher than Supreme Court. So that is how it happened. But what is the effect on Indian democracy or in the constitution? It means parliament cannot change the constitution nor the fundamental right. It means the constitution is a constant document with a full stop ahead of it. It is a fixed document. If nothing new is brought in the constitution, then how society will be changing? And positive change has to be brought and is to be brought. So, constitution becoming a fixed document, no new fundamental right can be brought. The parliament cannot do anything. It was not good for Indian democracy. And it was like that one organ is dominating over the other one. So if the situation between judiciary and parliament, you look at from 1951 till 1965, Sajjan Singh case, it was like that. It is a seesaw game. So two people are playing the seesaw game. You might have also played this. So this is a separation of power. So it is fine. But now what happened after this Golaknath case? The situation was like this, that the judiciary has hanged the parliament in the air. Means the judiciary is now dominating the parliament, which was not good. It was disturbing what is called as separation of power. And it is also not good that you are having a fixed constitution with the provision that constitution can be amended. No new fundamental right can be brought. And also it is in the background of the kind of unwelcoming, not welcoming development happening in the political parties and the political arena that time. Because you know that after the Chinese aggression and the defeat of India by China, after the demise of Jawaharlal Nehru, Chachaji, and then the episode of Tashkent, the demise of the then Prime Minister, right? Indira Gandhi ji, right, wanted to be the Prime Minister, but there was something called as South Club of Congress, right? Nijlappa, K. Kamraj and all, they also wanted to come to the power, and there was a tussle. And when the impression from political parties in democracy is not that strong, not that genuine, the judiciary come up. The judiciary is becoming stronger. That is why in that backdrop, Golaknath case decision was given. Because the constitution should not be attempted as a toy that one is trying to play with, right? It has to be respected. Okay. So that's how it is. Now what happened after Golaknath case, that when parliament did not like that such decision has been given in Golaknath case, so what parliament did, the 24th Constitutional Amendment Act 1971 was brought, and in this case, in this act, the title of Article 368 was changed. I can write it here, that power of parliament to amend the constitution and procedure thereof. Power of the parliament to amend the constitution and procedure thereof. It means by this title you can understand under Article 368, Parliament is enjoying the power to amend the constitution, and also the process is hidden. And in Golaknath case, the court, the honorable court held that Article 368 has only the process but not the CLP power. OLP power is coming from Article 13, that is giving the kind of day-to-day functioning change but not the constitutional change or the amendment. So that's how it was easier for the parliament to get back the power out of this act. But it was contempt of court, because you cannot use CLP, but using CLP resulted into the fact that you brought an act. A means act. And it was the result of uses of Article 368. Then it was challenged. What was challenged? 24th Constitutional Amendment Act was challenged in what is called as Keshwanand Bharti case, 1973. Actually, Keshwanand Bharti was a priest from Kerala. His land was to be acquired by the government, so he put a case. Though in last Keshwanand Bharti lost the case, but country was gifted with what is called as Doctrine of Basic Structure. This is one of that case which reigned for around 6 months time, and full bench, Supreme Court bench, heard this case, and lastly they decided in favor of the nation. Now in Keshwanand Bharti case, judiciary, Supreme Court means held that okay, we accept that parliament enjoys what is called as CLP and OLP, ordinary legislative power and constituent legislative power, both. But these power enjoyed by the parliament are not unlimited, and these are limited to the extent the basic structure of the constitution is not destroyed. What do I mean to say here is that the parliament is enjoying the OLP and CLP under this Lakshman Rekha, or for the math people it is kind of pi r square, or you can say 2 pi r, the perimeters, right? Within this, parliament can enjoy CLP and OLP both, and beyond this, if it is used, if these two powers are used, it will be understood by the court that parliament has transgressed its limit and it has crossed this boundary, and then we are bound to hear the case. And if the act made by the parliament has been found that it has destroyed the basic structure, then that act can be declared as unconstitutional, right? So it was good that the judiciary as well as the parliament, now under the separation of power, are having the equal power, and these are having what is called as checks and balance mechanism. Checks and balance mechanism means in the relationship or in the family, you are having the liberty, but there is a kind of concern of the family member for you, for whatever work you are doing, that there is a checks and balance mechanism. You are not purely dependent that, okay, as per law, we are empowered to do whatever we want because we are an adult now. It is not, right? If we have to obey the societal norms, family norms, we have to keep this unit intact, we have to keep the equations of relationship intact, then it is fine. And it is also good for the democracy also that three organs, especially the judiciary, executive and legislature, and now the fourth one, media, or you can say fifth one, civil society, they have to work in tandem with each other for the overall national development and welfare of the people. Now, this was fine, but one thing you need to note that what this basic structure is all about for the provision of the constitution, that a particular provision of the constitution is under the basic structure, has been defined by the constitution or not. Judiciary kept this doctrine of basic structure as open book, and no provision of the constitution was highlighted by the judiciary in 1973. But judiciary told that as and when we will be understanding that this is a sensitive issue and basic structure has been destroyed or attempted to be destroyed, then we will be highlighting that provision of the constitution. Now, in last 50 years or so, we have seen from 1973 to 2022, so 22 years plus you can say around 50 years, we have seen that the doctrine of basic structure has been included with the constitutional provision like fundamental right under Article 14, 15, 19 and 21, even Article 368, then balance between fundamental right and DPSP. Mind it that all DPSP are not part of the basic structure nor fundamental rights, but balance between both is part of the doctrine of basic structure, and the very question can be there in the prelims exam too. That is why I have brought this. Please don't say that it is a paper out, but if it is there, it is just an educated guess. That is my part as a teacher, right? I have full right about it. So basically they may use part 3 of Indian Constitution and part 4 also, instead of using you can say fundamental right or DPSP directly to confuse you, right? Then there are other things like the welfare state. Then there may be many more like judicial review, then parliamentary form of government, then republican nature. So in the book, when you find my book or the Lakshmikant book, you will be finding the list of all the provisions of the constitution which are part of basic structure. Now, what happened after Keshwanand Bharti case, you need to look at. Now, when a balanced decision was given by the court in Keshwanand Bharti case with doctrine of basic structure, which is a Indian judicial innovation, right? Parliament, again by way of 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, which is also called as mini constitution by the then lady Prime Minister, again tried to overpower the judiciary, right? And what they brought Article 368, Clause 4 and Clause 5. And in that, what they brought the fact that if Parliament is making any amendment to the constitution or bringing any new fundamental right, cannot be challenged to the court, means judicial review right is not there with the court for the made acts and laws by the Parliament. And also the fact that the power to use Article 368 by the Parliament is unlimited. And these two provisions were challenged in what is called as Minerva Mill case, 1980. And judiciary held that both the provisions are unconstitutional, null and void, because judicial review is part of the basic structure. and basic structure doctrine as and when destroyed, we have full right to review that case, to see that case, and that act or law may not be repealed or may not be declared as unconstitutional fully, but only part of that law which is attacking or destroying the basic structure can be repealed, right? And rest of the law can be intact, can be given effect. Okay, so NJAC was one of the act which was brought by the parliament, right? And it was declared as unconstitutional. Okay, parliament can do anything, but the judiciary and the decision given by it has to be respected. So that is what we have, what is called as a matured and balanced democracy, that all the organs are respecting each other's decision. The checks and balance mechanism is there. Now, if you look at the fact that what is today's scenario? Today's scenario is that the Supreme Court and High Court can check the act and law brought by the parliament. So parliament can use Article 13 Clause 2. Parliament can use Article 368 to make an act, right? To make a law. And such thing can be judicially reviewed by the court, and a law or act will be seen from the lenses of doctrine of basic structure. And if it has been found violating doctrine of basic structure, the provisions already included in doctrine of basic structure, then that law partly or fully will be declared as unconstitutional. So as a revision, before I am winding it up, because lengthy video may not be that good, so I have decided to bring the short videos so that you're comprehending it. And the corona time, 2 hours video, 3 hours video you could see, because there was nothing to be done. But in this busy hustle bustle life, many people, many voices are there behind you, calling you. Many moments are also there to be lived. So as part of the revision, I just want to say that we started our story from Shankerprasad case to differentiate between law and act. In that I told you that parliament was decided from that court's perspective that it is having constituent legislative power and ordinary legislative power. Using CLP, parliament can make an act to amend the constitutional provision as well as the fundamental right, but using OLP by the parliament, the laws can be made, so the legal rights can be changed, or day-to-day functioning or day-to-day small laws can be changed. And that same line and length was followed up till Sajjan Singh case till 1965. But after that, because of the turmoilic scene in Indian democracy, in Golaknath case, the court had to say that parliament is having only what is called as OLP, CLP is not available with it, but it was the fact that constitution could not be seen as a fixed document. It was not digested by the Indian democracy at that point of time, because in one sense it was that judiciary is overpowering the parliament, the legislature. So as a response to it, 24th Constitutional Amendment Act 1971 was brought to change the title of Article 368, which says that parliament is having power to amend the constitution and procedure thereof. Then after that, the same 24th Constitutional Amendment Act was challenged in Keshwanand Bharti case, wherein a balanced decision was given by the court with the birth of doctrine of basic structure, that okay, the parliament is having both CLP and OLP, but not to the unlimited extent. These are limited to what is called as doctrine of basic structure cutoff, that beyond this point they cannot go. And of course, they did not include any particular provision of the constitution, but in last 49 or 50 years or so, we have seen many elements have been included in doctrine of basic structure. If one is asking that what is doctrine of basic structure, you can write that it is an Indian judicial innovation which can be termed as an open book, given birth in Keshwanand Bharti case 1973. And this is all about those core organs, features of the constitution without which constitution cannot survive. But yes, heart and mind or brain, if these are not, entangled with or cannot operated upon, if a finger is cut, the person is surviving. That's how constitutional provisions which are not at core can be changed. So if constitution is taken to the beauty parlor and for its better look it has been changed, so it is a welcoming step, there is no problem. But if constitution has been taken to the operation theater and plastic surgery has been done to its face, and its home people are asking that who are you? You are Indian constitution or some other constitution? So that change is not welcoming, that change cannot be there, right? So cosmetic change, but welcoming change for the welfare of the people, no problem. Anytime it can be there. Article 21A for free and compulsory education, right? It was brought for the children, fine, welcome. There are many more. So that's how we are balancing the change in the Indian society, Indian democracy. We are also balancing that the parliament should not play with the constitution like a toy. So that's how it was. And in the Minerva Mill case in last, judiciary just nullified the attempt of the parliament by way of 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act that the made laws and act cannot be challenged or the power is unlimited, right? So this is not something which is good. So that's how it is. I hope you liked it. The Shankerprasad case, Sajjan Singh case, Golaknath case, and then after that Keshwanand Bharti case and Minerva Mill case, 24th Constitutional Amendment Act, and Doctrine of Basic Structure, provisions under it. Any question can be there in the prelims, and I hope that it will be very good for you. At least 1 or 2 questions you will be getting in the prelims. Thank you so much for being with me. See you soon in the next video. Bye bye. Jai Hind.